In the last episode, I told you all about how my crew is coming together. For me, one of the most important parts of getting to race day is the friendships and the fun. I just don't believe it's worth taking on a challenge if you're not going to enjoy the process. I mentioned a few episodes ago that I met the people I've been training with at various Paddle KC events. We talked about training and just started planning training activities together. Long days and nights on the river are safer and more fun when you have company. And this is another way that I think kayaking is similar to training for a half marathon, a marathon, or a triathlon. It's fun to have someone who gets it to talk to. It's fun to compare notes, to share tips, to talk through strategy, and of course, someone to talk smack with. Training partners are life. For a couple of weeks, we've been trying to get together the details for our first overnight paddle, where we will go from Caw Point to Miami on the Missouri River at night on a full moon weekend. The race takes place on the week of a full moon, and so we wanted to put ourselves in that position, a similar situation that we would encounter on race day. So we are going to go from Caw Point to Miami on the Missouri River at night on the full moon, and we will go about 105 miles. This trip will give us nighttime paddling experience. It will be a long paddle. It will give us experience on the river at night. And I feel like if we can prove to ourselves that we can do this, we are 1000% capable of completing this race. Because we felt like it would be easier to plan in person, my training partners decided that it would be a great idea to meet for the Hump Day 5K. The Hump Day is a casual race that takes place at Shawnee Mission Park in Johnson County, Kansas, every Wednesday from late spring to late fall. I've heard so much about Hump Day that I've been very intimidated. I know the boat I have is on the low end when it comes to competing and racing. I chose this boat because it would be a good multi-purpose boat, a good first boat, a good boat for completing the MR340, not necessarily being fast, and also a good size and quality to do river kayaking and kayak camping trips. I say this because the people at the Hump Day have very nice boats. There are a lot of high-end surf skis, which are naturally faster than my boat, no matter who you put in the paddling seat. And because of this, I had been afraid to show up because I didn't want to be last. I had visions of all these really fast people finishing and then sitting at the finish line looking at their watches like they're waiting on me, waiting to see who the last paddlers are, waiting to watch those last paddlers come in. And from the times I've seen posted, I knew I could potentially be 15 to 20 minutes behind some of the speedsters. And there's just something about imagining everybody waiting on me to finish that just felt really uncomfortable to me. So we show up to Hump Day, we get our boats in the water and spend some time warming up. I'm anxious because I've never done this race before. Do we check in? Who do we check in with? When do we check in? How does this all work? Do I actually know what the course is? As if I would have been first and needed to lead the way, right? I knew I would be trailing and I wouldn't have to figure it out. But anyway, these are the things that are going through my mind. My friend Anne explains how it all works, and then they count down the start and we all take off. I was surprised at how much fun this was. About 30 boats all rushing to the first cove in a variety of kayaks, surf skis, sups, and canoes. Occasionally, people would shout hellos or words of encouragement to friends, but for the most part, everybody was friendly, but they all had their game face on. Now that I've taken that lesson with Robert Norman, my speed continues to improve. So at this point in the race, I'm not doing as bad as I thought I would, except when it comes to turning. I'm still horrible at making a tight turn around the buoys that mark the course. At the first buoy, my friend and training partner, Tim, gets a big lead over me. I'm racing myself, but I'd like to prove to myself that I can hang out with my training partners too. We paddle on. A paddler on a surf ski stops to adjust his seat, and now he's passing me. We get to the next turn, and both Anne and Tim are now a good 200 yards in front of me, and as I struggle to make the turn, I'm losing speed, and it looks like they are both gaining momentum. I get down to the boat dock at the other end of the lake, and the timekeeper asks my name and records my boat. Now, this is how you actually check in. And then each week when you show up, they record your time And then when they post the results in the Facebook group, they highlight your line with a green highlighter on the spreadsheet if you beat your personal best time. So really, truly you are. The goal is to race yourself and to try to improve your personal best, try to improve your skills. Lots of people show up to race themselves or to work on a specific skill in a race environment or just to trade boats with friends and race somebody else's boat for the week. It's all supposed to be a lot of fun. And I did find that it was fun. There's just one out and back left, and the final 2 turns just kill me. In the end, I finished much faster than I predicted, a good 5 minutes than I did when I tested myself on the course, and my training partners beat me by about 5 to 6 minutes. They were waiting for me at the finish, and I was excited to see that no one else was paying any attention. In fact, they were having their own conversations or had already loaded their boats into their vehicles. Next, our group went to a restaurant down the street from the lake to plan our 105 miles on the river. And we just worked out the details. It has been so much fun to bring so many friends together from different points in my life. I met Anne and her amazing husband, Jamie, at a Paddle KC event. And Jamie has been so helpful to all of us as we've planned different training activities. He is Anne's #1 fan, and he has been so helpful for our entire group. You just can't do this stuff very easily without support, and it's safer to have a group. And so I am just loving all the people that we're bringing together. Tim has been a longtime friend who I used to run with, and now we've added Lance into the fold. Lance is one of the many people who also kept me running in my marathon days. I'm thankful we've been able to just keep adding more trading partners and planning more events and have been able to connect more people so that we can all have somebody to go out with when others are busy so we don't have to do this alone. And just because the more the merrier, right? It really does take a certain kind of crazy to do a race like this, and I'm so glad to have found my crazy. In the next episode, I'll tell you about our summer solstice sunrise and sunset paddles. That was a mouthful. And how I made it all into one massive training activity. Wherever life takes you this summer, make it an epic adventure. I'll catch you next time.